Hello! Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Priscilla. I am a Seattle-based flight attendant working with a major US airline company. And in today's video, I will be talking about my full income for my first year of being a flight attendant. My 1-year anniversary was March 13th, 2024. It's been a year. So today I will be talking about my first year flight attendant pay, how much I earned while I was in training and when I got on the line. And I will be talking about my month-to-month income, how much I earned every single month from March 2023 to March 2024. I want you all to see realistically how much I was making every single month for the very first year. And then we're just gonna end it off with some final thoughts. I've had a ton of questions of people asking me or DMing me or leaving in the comment section below if you can make a certain amount of money in your first year. Because trust me, I am not oblivious to the fact that there's so much content out there talking about flight attendant pay, how flight attendants are broke, how we're not getting paid well enough or whatever. To a large extent it's true, because the time we spend away from our homes or the time that we spend being on duty, if we were getting paid our hourly pay every single hour, every single minute, we would make a really good amount of money for our time. However, that's not the case. But the flip side is that there are other structures to our pay or other additives to our pay that adds up, that gives us or gets us close enough to that point. But at the end of the day, if you work for any company, you know they're not going to pay you enough to be comfortable, y'all. They're not going to give you your worth, okay? They're going to find any means necessary to give you close enough to what you're worth. So we're still gonna be out here in these streets fighting for better pay, okay? I started flight attendant training March 13th, and I do have a video where I actually talked about my first 6 months of being on the line plus training pay and everything. I'll leave the thumbnail here so you can check that out. But this is strictly going to be my entire year from 13th March 2023 to 13th March 2024, what I made, and then what I made every single month. So like I said, I started March 13th, and that's my pay anniversary, and that's my start date as well, which means every year on that date I'm going to get a pay increase. When I started as a flight attendant, my very first pay was $33.81. When I hit my 1-year anniversary, March 13, 2024, I got a pay increase from $33.81 to $35.85. However, the job profile, which is a flight attendant job, requires training. So training started March 13th. So on March 13th, when I started the job, I was not earning my flight attendant pay, which is a $33.85. I was not making that money. Because I wasn't training and I was a flight attendant student, I was making training pay. And with my airline, flight attendant training pay is the minimum wage of Atlanta. The minimum wage back then was $7.31. That was my hourly pay while I was in training. So my first 6 weeks out of the 1 year that I've been a flight attendant, I was earning a minimum wage of Atlanta, which was $7.31 for the first 6 weeks. And after that was when I started earning my $33.81, which was my flight attendant pay when I got on the line. The other thing that I do want to talk about is what is included in that pay. The first thing that is included in that pay is obviously the training pay, which I've already spoken about. The other thing is when you get hired as a new flight attendant, once you get on the line, you will be required to attend new hire meetings, which is for 6 months. It's once a month for 6 months while you're on probation, which is 6 months. And your probationary period starts after training. So it's 6 months after you get on the line. So you do 6 weeks of training, then once you start flying or you get on the line, you have 6 months of probation. So during that 6 months of probation, yes, you're earning your flight attendant pay, but you also have to go for new hire meetings, which you get paid for at the flight attendant rate. New hire orientation is also part of this pay. My new hire orientation was when I was getting my flight attendant hourly pay rate, and then some of the new hire meetings, all you received were like a fixed amount. I think that's what that was. And then when you're on the line, as you work in trips, you work in reserve, all that pay is included in my first year pay. The other thing that is included in my first year pay are summer incentives. So during the summer, when you fly past a certain amount of hours, any amount of hours that you fly beyond that, you get an additional pay for that. It differs from airline to airline, because with some airlines it's different. Some airlines it's not only during the summer, it's throughout the year. If you've ever worked anywhere, you always have to like go through like quarterly training or learning materials that you do have to complete. You get paid for that as well. And once again, that is is not the flight attendant pay rate. It's like a flat fixed amount that you get paid. And then the last thing that is included in my 1-year pay is my continuous learning. To become a flight attendant, you have to get certified. Like, you going through training, it's not only for the company to train you for the job, but also to give you the certification required by the FAA to be on the line, to work on the aircraft that you're dedicated to work on. When you first get on the line, you do have to get recertified after 6 months. And then from then on, it becomes every 18 months. And you do get paid during that time as well. So now that we have that established, let's talk about how much I earned every single month. So month 1, I made $1,047.71. Remember, I started in the middle of the month. So I started like on 13th March. So for March 2023, I made $1,047.71. And that $1,047.71 is just my training pay. So that was the pay that I made while I was still in training, making the minimum wage of Atlanta, which is $7.31. For the entire month of April, I was in training, and then at the last week of April was when I actually did my new hire orientation, and then I had my first part of the start of my reserve. So the last week of April included me earning my flight attendant pay as well, because I was on the line at that point, and then I also did my new hire orientation. The majority of April was the new hire pay, which was $7.31 per hour. For April, I made $2,377.49. And May was when I was fully on the line. I made $4,651.81. Then in June, I made $5,693.46. Before I proceed, I do want to state that these are pre-tax income. These are my gross income. And then in July 2023, I made $5,317.65. For August, I made $5,529.90. Then in September, I did $5,307.98. And then in October, I took a 2 weeks break. I went on vacation. I did not use vacation pay or anything. I just cleared my schedule such that I had those days off. I still made $4,286.74. Then in November, I made $4,408.95. Followed by December 2023, I made $5,683.20. One thing I do want to add so far before I proceed to 2024 is that around this period or during this time when I was working, I was not overworking myself, y'all. I was not that person that was working 6 days out of the week with only 1 day off. I was making sure that I was getting at a minimum 10 to 12 days off every month. So January 2024, I made $4,897.30. February, I made $4,224.30. And for March, I'm only counting up to March 13th because my anniversary date is March 13th, right? However, because of how the pay schedule is, it goes up to March 15th. I made $2,359.19. So this is the income I made every single month ever since I started training, got on the line, worked my first 6 months all the way up to my first year. This is pre-tax. This is not my take-home pay. So the total amount of income that I made for my very first year as a flight attendant, I made $55,785.72. So close to $60,000. But one thing I will say is I could have done more. I did not work a lot. I have not been working a lot. I make sure I get a reasonable amount of days off. If you've been watching my schedule reaction videos, you would see that typically I have an average of 12 to 14 days off every month. I say all this to say that our pay, at least with my airline, it's pretty good. It's not the best, obviously, because the standard or the cost of living now is pretty high, but it's good enough where if you spend within your means and you manage your finances, you should be able to be okay. However, the reality is that when you're going for training, you're not getting paid your flight attendant pay, but your bills are still due wherever it is that you live. So if you don't have any money saved up, then you're likely to be in debt by the time you get out of training. That's why on my live recently, I spoke about saving for training. Saving enough money to cover your expenses while you're in training, and then 2 months after you're on the line. This is a good way to set yourself up for success because that's what I did. And because it worked for me, that's why I'm sharing my experience with you. The other thing was that I did not commute, so I did not have any additional expenses. The money that I would spend on groceries or my upkeep, once I go for grocery shopping and I meal prep and I buy whatever I need food-wise for a trip, I barely spend any money. I can count on one hand the number of trips that I've been on that I actually spent money. So that helped a great deal because I wasn't forced to buy hotel food or airport food, which are really expensive. But that might not be the case for everybody. And depending on the airline you're working with, your hourly pay would already be low. If you're starting off at $20, $25, that's a low amount of money to make, especially in this industry because of how our hours are paid out to us. Okay? So it's good to have a good or very high hourly pay so that to a large extent it makes up for the gaps in between the hours that we're getting paid for. So if you hear somebody arguing that we can get paid more, there's a reason. That's because for the most part, a lot of our time is not paid for. So that's why it is necessary that your hourly pay be high. That way it will make up for it if it's prorated compared to somebody who's working a 9 to 5, who's getting paid every minute, every hour. So the people that have been asking me, can you make $60,000 to $70,000 a year as a new flight attendant? My answer, finally, I know I've brought it up several times, but never gave like a definite response. I can confidently say that you can make $60,000 to $70,000 a year. You can. It will take a lot of finessing and you picking up high credit trips and working more than extra than your schedule, because typically our schedule value or the schedule we're essentially supposed to get when schedules are released are usually between 70, 75 to let's say 85 or 80 hours, right? Plus or minus a variance of 6 or 7 hours. But you can always work more. Once again, there's no limit for how many hours you can work within a month. There's no cap. When it comes to picking up extra trips and working during the month, there's no cap. You can work as much as you're legally able to work because you are legally required to have some rest. The FAA requires it. There are people that do 120, 130, but one thing I can confidently say is that as a flight attendant, if you don't take anything out of this video, take the fact that as a flight attendant working with my airline, one thing I can confidently tell you is that you do not have to work 160 hours with my airline to make a good amount of income to take care of yourself. But yes, your girl did make $55,785.72 for my very first year as a new flight attendant. So yes, just be strategic with your trips and your schedule and you should be okay, all right? But yeah, this is me coming to share with you all the real tea. Yeah, this is the income I made for my first year as a flight attendant. If you're out there considering becoming a flight attendant and you came across this channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and check out my playlist. I have like dedicated playlist for everything. You can literally binge watch my channel and watch everything from how to become a flight attendant to flight attendant training to the pay, my vlogs and everything. So do check it out. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any video that I post in the future. Give the video a thumbs up and share your thoughts in today's video in the comment section below. Do you agree or disagree that a flight attendant can make between $60,000 to $70,000 their first year? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you're working with a different airline, please share your experience in the comment section below. Thank you all for watching today's video and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
If we're knocked out, we'll go the distance, pound for pound. We're a perfect match, pulling punches, but toe to toe, we're always on